Hello, everybody.
Hi, Cris.
Okay.
Oh, we both went with the pink sweater.
Oh, oops.
I can
That's all
change
right.
mine.
That's all right. I don't think it matters. Oops, I entered my wrong thing here. And let me share my screen. Let's see, how do I do that? I need to share my screen for the presentation. Aha. Okay, so who do we have there? Hello, Gloria. Hello, Lindsay. I'm feeling like a pro in this room now because I was in this room just the other day with a bunch of my students, and we had somebody who came from Ireland, somebody from Portugal, well, Miguel, who is a friend of you guys's,
Amazing.
and let's see, we had a woman from a man from Australia, and where was the other person from? I'm trying to remember. Um, Ireland. Australia, Portugal. There's a fourth country that I'm forgetting. What was the fourth country? Hong Kong. That's it. And then we had all my students, right? And then everybody went to the little tables on the side, and we had some awesome conversations. What's happening on YouTube, Paris? Do we have people there?
Yes, so currently we have 6 people on YouTube at the moment.
Okay. So
I will
can you
keep you
tell
updated if
them?
we have any others join.
Awesome. So can you put a message in there telling them that, welcome and we'll be starting soon?
Absolutely. They can also hear you because we're live streaming, so they'll be able to hear you now as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Then everybody help welcome. And we're going to be starting soon. And I'm curious, perhaps you guys who are on YouTube could write down on the comment area why you couldn't get into the room. I'm just curious if it was any technical issues or something like that. I think in order to do this right, I need to have three screens, one to monitor YouTube, one to monitor my presentation, and the other two.
I'm monitoring YouTube for you, so
See
I'm
if
happy to
anybody
keep an eye on that.
answers. Hold on just a second. Uh-oh, what did I do here? I think I did something I wasn't supposed to do. Aha. Okay. Well, how about as I'm looking at the time here, and while we wait, perhaps the folks who are already here could introduce themselves since there are just few of us. Let's see, Gloria, how about you start? Are you muted? Okay, I'm not sure if Gloria can. Gloria, can you hear us? Give me an emoticon, like a yes, if you can hear us. Oh, somebody else came back. Oh, Paris came to sit closer. That's great. Okay, I'm not sure, Gloria, what's happening. Lindsay, how about you? Lindsay? Go ahead, Maggie, you're muted.
I did not mean to raise my hand. I was just trying to close out of the chat.
Okay. So, Lindsay and Gloria, if you don't want to introduce yourselves, I'm a little confused. Or you're having technical problems, just let us know in the chat which one it is. There's a chat, but oh, there's a chat here. Oh, Lindsay, can you hear us? Or we can't hear you. Okay, there should be a little, how do Paris, maybe you know the technical term, but there's a little wheel thingy next to my microphone, and that's where I went in there to adjust my audio and like the speaker stuff.
Yes, so that's correct. So Lindsay can actually hear us. So Lindsay, if you're having an issue with talking to us, you can always come out of the event and rejoin. That way you should be able to talk through your mic. Additionally, if you
Okay, now I'm not hearing Paris. Paris, were you saying something?
Yeah, Paris, you cut out a little bit.
Yeah.
okay.
Now you're back.
Perfect. Okay. It may have been because I was already in my settings, trying to explain where to go in the mic settings.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, we're going to start. We're going to start on time because we have some people on YouTube too. And as people come in, then people come in. That's totally fine.
Amazing. We
So,
have 11 people in attendance on YouTube.
okay, great. Okay, so welcome everybody who is on YouTube. I hope you guys can see us. Like the people who are on YouTube, can they see our faces or can they just see our backs? Like how do they see? They see us from the front?
So they see a zoomed out image of the whole room. So they can see everybody sitting at the table.
Okay, got it. All right. So, and they can see the presentation too, right? The slides.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's get started. Everybody, my name is Cris Wildermuth. The picture that you see in there is because just like everybody else, I fell in love with the little Facebook app that we all, that was, what is it called? Voila, that everybody was cartooning themselves. I thought that was a lot of fun. So this is my cartoon face. I am a associate professor at Drake University. That's a liberal arts school in Des Moines, Iowa, and I direct the Master of Science in Leadership Development. And I guess, let's see, that's my professional side. I do a lot of research on ethics and international education. Those are my main research areas. I love gamification though, and I'm super playful in the classroom. So, you know, those very stern, I don't know, stern professors who have very rigid rules and whatever, that's totally not me. I love games even in my free time. So I fell in love. Oh, hi Beck. I think that's Lindsay, right? Is that Lindsay? Who came just back? Yeah. Welcome back, Lindsay. So, um, So I fell in love with this stupid game on the phone called Game of Sultans that I like to play on the phone, and my students think that's absolutely hilarious. So in my free time, I enjoy playing Game of Sultans and spending time with my family. Maggie here is my daughter. She's going to introduce herself shortly, so we enjoy doing stuff together. And that's me. And I'm originally, if you guys are hearing an accent, I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, but I've been in the US now for 30 years. And welcome, Anna. And so, welcome everybody who is in the room, and welcome everybody who is in the on YouTube. Cool. Maggie, you're on.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maggie. I just graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from Drake University, and I'm entering my PhD in Clinical Psychology at Gallaudet University in the fall. I am, yeah, thank you. Other than that, I am a big, huge gamification nerd. I am Dr. Chris's daughter, of course, and I am here to really excited to talk about Roomkey before. Really excited to talk about Roomkey today because we presented in Roomkey before. So it's really nice to see you all today.
I am kind of laughing with Maggie saying I'm Dr. Cris Wildermuth's daughter because I don't think anybody under the sun calls me Dr. Wildermuth, uh, except for first year students who don't know better yet. Right. Okay. So our whole point today, or the main point today, is to talk about how it feels like to present like an avatar. Just a quick note, we were going to have Don Stein here today, who is the Paris, help me out. Is he the founder or the co-founder of Roomkey? I'm not exactly sure.
So Don is actually the founder of Roomkey.
Got it. Thank you.
No
So
worries.
Don was going to be with us, but unfortunately, Don is sick today. So we're going to have the discussion ourselves in terms of what it feels like to facilitate and collaborate in an environment like this one. And just so that you know, this is just one of the possible rooms on Roomkey. This is the small room. I like it because if any of you wants to ask me a question, you can directly ask me a question. If we were in one of the big rooms where Maggie and I presented the other day, we would have to like click and give you permission. And then when I clicked and gave people permission, inevitably I messed up and I ended up by going to their table and leaving the stage. So I thought that this time it would be more intimate for us to be in this room. And there are also small rooms where people can have just like a small group meeting. And once you set up a room on Roomkey, which by the way is a free thing to do, I was not paid to say that. Actually, I was not paid to do anything. You can you can actually change a room. So you can create a room and then today you have it in the boardroom style, but the next week you would like to have it in the fireside style, and then for the next meeting you want to have a little room, and you can change it as you go along. So if you guys want to try and create your own room on Roomkey, um, I'm going to say I think you can do that. I probably should ask Paris. Paris, am I saying something wrong here?
No, you're everything's correct.
Okay, good. Because, by the way, for the record, I have absolutely nothing to do with Roomkey. I'm a user just like you guys, and I just discovered it and I loved it. So that's about it. Okay, so our topic today is what it feels like to facilitate in a room like that. And I'm going to start talking about how we got started, how I discovered Roomkey in the first place, and what our first experience was like. So I'll first say how I discovered it, and then I'll pass it to Maggie. So, how I discovered Roomkey is that you know that creepy thing that Facebook does that whenever you, I don't know, you look for a computer on Amazon and the following day you go to Amazon and all you see are computers or whatever you're buying. Okay. So with me, because I enjoy technology so much, by the time I go to Facebook, all I see are new technologies. They show up all the time. And I think the first time that I saw something about Roomkey was on Facebook. And I am unafraid. I have absolutely no fear of clicking in any new technology that shows up my way. I guess one of these days I'm gonna be sorry, but so far I have not. Nothing evil has happened to me. So then I just went in there and attended an event because I wanted to see what that was all about. And I don't even know how I connected with Don. I think I wrote him or something like that and had a couple of meetings with him. And then I was fascinated with the whole thing. And then Don asked if we wanted to facilitate a presentation here. So then Maggie and I had our first presentation in Roomkey just a few weeks ago. And I'll pass it on to Maggie now.
Yeah, so I got involved in Roomkey through that presentation. We did a presentation on gamification. It was a program that we had run before, but this was the first time that we had done any sort of presenting on Roomkey, and we really ended up liking it quite a bit. So that's how I kind of ended up here. I tend to end up in these situations because I say, that sounds cool. Might as well. First lesson of technology. That sounds cool. Might as well.
I totally agree with that. There are so many things that I have done because, that sounds cool. Let's just go and do it, right? And we had no idea what was waiting for us. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how different it feels because Maggie and I had presented before using Zoom. We have presented before like live. We have done like the more traditional things before. We had never presented in a room like this before. So we of course have some lessons learned. One thing that I discovered that I was really surprised is how fast my brain, in particular, got used to seeing you guys, for example. I'm looking at you guys and I'm seeing you as avatars. Like I'm seeing you as people. I'm seeing the avatars as people. And for example, with Dawn, I have had now, I think, 3 or 4 meetings with Dawn. I have never seen Dawn's real face. I don't have the foggiest clue what Dawn looks like because when I went to LinkedIn, what I saw was the picture of his avatar as well. So, Dawn could look like anything. In fact, I'm beginning to get curious, Paris. You need to ask Dawn to send me his picture. I have no idea what it is, but I'm so used to meeting with Dawn as an avatar and like it feels perfectly natural. So it's like my brain got used to that idea super fast, which is surprising to me. I thought it would be weird, but it really isn't. And I'll let Maggie speak on her end, and then I'm actually going to ask you guys what it feels like. Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, this feels very natural. That's something that I will say is like one of the things that, so Mom and I are researchers. We're researching on a project about the differences between online education and in-person education. And one of the things that's been popping up in our research project is how many students just simply turn off their video cameras and, do something else while school is in session. Go on their phone, other interesting things. So one of the things I find super interesting about Roomkey is you get very used to very quickly that the avatar is you, and the avatar is not only you, but the avatar is the you that you're projecting to the world, and everybody can see the avatar. So since the avatar looks like they're paying attention, you feel kind of obligated to pay attention and obligated to continue to look at whoever's talking, even though my camera is not on and none of you can actually see me, because I feel like you can see me. I feel like you can see my avatar who is looking at Mom right now.
I totally love that. And it's true, right? Like, we've been finding some very surprising things that people do when they're not actually paying attention and when they have their Zoom turned off. And let's be real. when I don't have my Zoom turned on in a very boring faculty meeting, and anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely hate faculty meetings. It's something that when I teach statistics, I say correlates negatively with my happiness. I'm usually multitasking and emailing like anybody else, but it feels guilty to do that if my avatar is here looking at you. So, anyway, about you guys, I'm curious if anybody would like to speak as to what it feels like to be an avatar here. Would anybody like to speak up? And if you do, just unmute yourself and speak.
Or say something in the YouTube chat for our YouTube friends. If you're not comfortable speaking up, you can also go in the regular chat and I have it open.
Paris, is anybody saying anything?
No, nothing on
Cindy
YouTube
just...
yet.
Oh,
Oh, sorry,
No.
Cindy.
Maggie.
Oh, no worries, Paris. Cindy says it feels pretty normal.
Okay.
So I'm happy to say. So I actually am the executive assistant for the founder, Don. And so before I joined Roomkey, I worked in another company and we used Zoom all the time. So it was all about being on camera. And the biggest thing for me was when the pandemic started, we all had to start working from home, having to make sure that like behind you, what was going to be in camera was all tidy and presentable, and like as a girl, like your hair and your makeup and you're wearing the correct attire and you're completely presentable in that sense. And when I moved and joined Roomkey, it was very different at the beginning. I couldn't quite. I still did my hair and I still did my makeup and I was still in the perfect attire that you would be if I was on like in a client meeting, just because that's how I felt. And then as I kind of grew comfortable with Roomkey and using the avatars and using the app, and I mean it was extremely quickly because I was using it all day every day. I assume that this is now the norm for me. And when someone says, "Hey, can you jump on Zoom?" I start getting panicky and I think, "Oh my goodness, I don't really want to go on camera anymore. I love being an avatar." So for me, the world has completely changed in the way that I don't want to go on camera anymore. I want to be my avatar. I want to be able to customize how I look and not have to worry about what it looks like behind me and making sure the background is perfect for the correct meeting. So being an avatar is perfect for me. I love the avatar world.
I love it. I think it's great. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I have a slide about how fun it is not to have to worry about my hair sometime. Um, one one thing that I wanted to say is that like any technology, it took some time getting used to the details, right? To some of the things that didn't go right, and I can't remember what was the yeah, I'm going to move back here. By the way, guys, if you want to see the slides closer, all you have to do is click on the screen, click on any of the screens, and then you're going to see the entire screen is going to be big. One thing that I really enjoy is, and that's going to be in one of my tips, is to use two screens so that in one of the screens I can see the avatars and the world and everything else, and on the other screen I can actually see the presentation. So there's a tip. Now, it took some time getting used to the details, and that's when we talk about the tips, Maggie and I are going to talk about some of the things that can go right and some of the things that can go wrong. So let's start with what we loved. No death by Zoom. So I want to see, like, give me a thumbs up. How many of you are mighty tired of Zoom or Microsoft meetings like Microsoft Teams. Like I don't know. I can't stand them anymore. In the beginning, I was like a pioneer using Zoom. I used Zoom before it became a household name. But by now, you tell me you're going to have a big faculty meeting using Microsoft Teams, and I groan. I want something fun. I want something different. So that I would say would be the first thing is give me something different, please. I love the whole beautiful presentation screen. Like I love clicking here and having the whole presentation screen that I can see. And that was something really nice when I watched one of the presentations. I can't remember who was saying what in Roomkey, but it's nice that no matter where I'm sitting, I can actually see the entire presentation screen. And I've been in several other virtual worlds before, and that is fairly rare. Normally, you don't have this beautiful high quality screen that you can see the whole thing in these worlds. So that was a nice thing that I enjoyed. Um, and then we always look great, and that's what Paris was saying. Like I did not have to worry about my hair or my outfit. In fact, today I'm wearing my Drake shirt, which is blue. I have a green background behind me, and actually, if I were presenting by Zoom, I would be presenting with a transparent top because the blue would have disappeared behind the green and I would only show my face. So I love not having to worry about what I look like. Maggie, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty much. It makes it very easy to transition into Roomkey. So one of the big advantages of just like being able to turn your camera off in general is that you get more time in the morning to kind of yourself, right? If you have a morning presentation or if you have a morning meeting. With Roomkey, you get that advantage, but you don't get the disadvantage of like feeling like you're kind of not really there because your camera's off. So I will be honest, I would have picked a different outfit this morning and spent more time on it if I were doing this presentation in Zoom. So the fact that I had the time to eat a really nice breakfast and drink most of my coffee before I came to Roomkey because I didn't have to worry that much about what I was wearing is really nice. It's just a time saver. It really is.
I know, this is fun. I enjoyed how easy it was to meet with people from all over the world. And because we didn't have to worry about the video quality, it was pretty easy to have everybody in. And it was a lot of fun. And in fact, Roomkey, if I understand correctly from my many conversations with Don the Avatar, is the whole point is to have to be a community builder. So when you come to one of the community events, you literally meet people from all over the world, and that is super fun. Like that is, I used to be a fan of Second Life. Who here, anybody can give me a thumbs up if you remember Second Life, or if you are on YouTube, you can like give me some kind of indication that you know what Second Life is. Anyone? So Second Life used to be kind of an avatar world, and it was super fun. You could fly, you could create things on Second Life, but the problem is that Second Life got filled with pornography pretty soon. And of course, then it's a little uncomfortable to be there because all of a sudden you could meet with very weird people. So to me, Roomkey is like, oh, great, now I have Second Life, but I don't have to worry about pornography and weird people. So that's one of the things that I enjoy here. And Maggie, you were going to talk about the gamification elements?
Yeah, so during our presentation, Anything Can Be a Game, we talked about what are the things that make something into a game. And one of the conclusions that we essentially came to is that anytime that you make an experience for somebody, that you put somebody in an immersive environment where they're kind of drawn in from the real world and everything that they're learning, everything that they're doing is in this specialized environment for them, that is a game. That is based off of some of John Radoff's work. So what Roomkey does that's really interesting is because it has the avatar and the entire virtual world, going in there doesn't feel like just a Zoom meeting. It feels like this entire immersive experience, kind of similar to walking into a like normal board meeting, but with all the advantages of being at home, and it looks like a video game. It looks like a video game, so your brain automatically interprets it as fun, at least if you like video games. If you don't, you might not like Roomkey all that much. So this is a gamified Zoom, essentially. All that they've done, they didn't need to add points or quests or anything like that to make it a gamified Zoom. They have done that by adding avatars and making this an immersive experience. So I think that's really cool, and I think that's part of the reason why this feels so much more, not only natural, but it feels so much more fun and engaging than Zoom.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the things that we learned and some of the tips. The first one I have already mentioned, and that is use two screens. If you want to monitor our friends in YouTube, I would say even use three screens. And having the YouTube Live, by the way, is really important because what happens is because Roomkey is an app that has to be installed, sometimes people can't install it in their computers because they didn't ask IT in time, or because IT is super rigid and won't let them do it, or whatever it is. So it's important to be able to have a way for you to connect with them. So actually, I would like to have three screens instead of two. The next thing is practice. Maggie, do you want to talk about the first, quickly, because we don't have too much time, but quickly mention what happened the first time that we did it? Uh-oh, where did Maggie go? I think Maggie was expelled from the game or something.
No, Maggie just accidentally clicked on another chair again. This happens kind of regularly. Why won't it let me move from said other chair? I guess I'm presenting from over here, guys. Okay. So we decided to do a dry run before our first presentation here, which turned out to be a good thing. And we invited one of Mom's, I think she's a former student, who was nice enough to watch our dry run of our presentation. And it was kind of like the old adage, and it was kind of Murphy's Law, right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it will go wrong in the most spectacularly funny way imaginable. We had trouble sharing the screen, and pretty regularly Mom or I would do exactly what I did just now, which is we would accidentally click a random chair from all the way on the other side of the room, and we would end up there all of a sudden. We had games that just that were part of the whole thing that just quite simply didn't function. What were some of the other funny mishaps that happened? Yeah, there were a couple of slides I remember that had to be deleted because it turned out they were duplicates, or they were in the wrong order. They were in the wrong order. So there were also just some simple errors on our end that would have happened in any other system. But we were also learning the Roomkey controls. We were learning how the screen share works. We were learning that we had to be very careful what we moused over, or else we would end up on the other side of the room. So you have to do a dry run on this, especially if you have never used Roomkey before, or if you have used it only rarely, because even though you want people to be kind of tolerant of mistakes in your company culture, if you want to use Roomkey, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit, you still want to put together a presentation that looks relatively smooth, and the Roomkey controls, they take a little bit of a learning curve to get. So you want to run it first.
And that takes us to, I'm just going to skip this really quickly. This, by the way, was, actually, let me go back. Maggie had a great thought, and that is to watch for people's emoticons and movements, because you can see people moving when they're talking to each other, and then you can tell if people are participating or not. And then the next and last thing that I wanted to say is embrace imperfections. Anytime that you try a new tool, something is going to be imperfect. And if you don't accept imperfections, you're always going to be using the same thing. So perhaps one thing for us to think about is how can we bring imperfection into our company cultures so that they stop expecting perfection of things that don't need to be perfect. If you're doing neurosurgery on a patient and you don't want the patient to die, that surgery has to be perfect. But if you're running a presentation on, I don't know, critical conversations and a slide goes wrong, the world did not end and nobody died. So perhaps that's something for us to start teaching our people. Otherwise, we're doomed to be bored forever. And with that said, I just want to see if anybody had questions either here or in YouTube. Any questions for us?
In our current chat, somebody asked, King Arthur asked, what industry is Paris in? So I guess what industry is Roomkey considered?
So
Paris, that's for you.
Roomkey can, so Roomkey can be considered in multiple industries, I guess. You can look at the social side and the event side. So Roomkey is overall amazing in every industry, I guess.
Thank you. Any other questions you guys may have in terms of using, and you can ask questions not only about Roomkey, but facilitating in virtual worlds in general. Are there any comments on YouTube, guys? Those of you who are checking that?
There currently isn't anything in YouTube.
Okay. All right, so one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, I'm going to put on the chat my email at the university. It's cris.wildermuth@drake.edu. Paris, do you think you could write that on YouTube as well? So it's CRIS, no H, dot wildermuth@drake.edu. That's my Drake University address. So if anybody has a question for me after this session and you would rather ask this question privately, it's totally okay for you to write me. Maggie, any final words?
I hope you all had fun. And I don't know, are we going to be staying after to answer questions if anybody wants to ask them one-on-one?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys would like to stay, I just want to honor the time. But if you guys want to stay and ask me any questions, me or Maggie any questions, absolutely you can. And those of you who are on YouTube, if you want to ask questions, you can too. Otherwise, we wanted to honor that we said this was going to last half an hour, so it's half an hour. One final incentive is that you guys go ahead and form your room and invite a few friends and meet and see what it feels like to actually present on Roomkey. The biggest tip is make sure that you have a second screen because it helps a heck of a lot.
And if you don't own a second computer monitor, totally understandable. If you happen to have around any other type of screen, so that can act as a second screen. So smart TVs work. Mom currently has it hooked into a very small TV that we happen to have. You know, if you can hook it into anything that can make a Bluetooth connection with your computer, you can make second monitors out of things that are not technically computer monitors, and in fact, it may be cheaper and or easier to do so.
Yeah, in fact, we discovered that it's cheaper to buy a small TV than to buy a second monitor. So, FYI.
And the screen quality is just fine.
Any questions, you guys?
So Kara said, even though I'm Kara or Kara, I'm not. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Even though I'm an avatar, I feel hesitant to speak up, and that's actually something that we know. That's a really good observation. That's something we actually noticed in our presentation last time. Is that we had a stage at the front of the room, and we would invite people up to speak so that they would be able to be heard on the YouTube. And people were getting stage fright. Like, people were nervous to talk on stage, even though this is a virtual world and you're still talking, regardless of where you're talking in the virtual room, you're still talking from your desk, your couch, your bedroom. But people were getting stage fright. So yeah, that's one thing that happens in the virtual world, is it does feel a little bit more lifelike, and some of those, if you're shyer, it may be more difficult to speak up. I think that shows how realistic Roomkey feels.
Yeah, and what our brain does. Anyone else? I noticed that LN Pendian, am I pronouncing your name right? You just came in. Anybody else has a question or a comment? Anything that you'd like to say? Okay, so hearing none, let me see, is there any chat there? No, I don't see any chats either. So hearing none, I guess we're going to call it a day, but please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. If you have any questions about facilitating in a virtual world, or what our experience is, or whatever, ask me. If you have any questions about Roomkey specifically, it's probably better to contact Paris, right, Paris? Because I, like I said before, have nothing to do with Roomkey other than loving the system.
Absolutely. I'm happy to drop my email in the side as well. So if you do have any questions regarding Roomkey or wanting to host any events, just drop me an email and we can discuss further.
Got it. Thank you, Paris. And Kara was saying that getting into the room feels anxious. So how do you suggest breaking the ice in a virtual room? That's a really, really good question. Oops, I inadvertently muted myself. Like Maggie said, when people come into the virtual room, it doesn't matter that they're an avatar, they still feel like virtual people. I would say that ideally, if you're doing this for people in your organization, like I did with my students, what I did to break the ice was to have a dry run the day before the event that we had. So then people got used to being there. People got used to being an avatar. They weren't worried about the technology part of it, right? And then the following day they were feeling quite comfortable. So what you will probably notice is, Kara, is that if you come other times, you're going to get progressively you're going to feel progressively more comfortable. One thing that may make people feel more comfortable is if we were speaking in the what is called the fireside chat room, in which Maggie and I would be at the front and everybody would be in small tables. You would only be chatting with the people at your table, and nobody outside of the table would be hearing you, and that might make you feel more comfortable as well. Maggie, do you have any comments on that question?
Of course, the disadvantage of that fireside chat room is there's that big stage at the front of the room that everybody's scared of. But you do only you do get a lot of small group chats with which a lot of people are more comfortable with. I would also say, from somebody who's taken a lot of virtual classes over the last year, one thing that's really important is probably to have the chat open. Precisely for this reason. A lot of people feel more comfortable typing in the chat, either because there's, a little more distance, you're not putting yourself up on display, and also because you're not going to interrupt anybody if you toss it in the chat. So I would say it's really important to have that option open in case somebody would prefer to do that, or even if, there's a technical problem, their mic's not working, something like that. Also, if you can give people a chance to introduce themselves to one another, potentially, giving some fun facts, or some, like, answering a silly question, like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Letting people get to know each other a little bit before you're having a conversation like this. I would assume it's kind of like a normal presentation, like that helps build trust and gets people more willing to talk.
And Lindsay just said that she loves that she can show up to a meeting not having to worry about makeup and hair and so on. So yes, absolutely. That to me is one of the favorite things of Roomkey. And in fact, I must say that that's one of the things that I'm dreading going back to the office is that now I have to buy new clothes and worry not only about what my shirt looks like, but also what my pants look like, which is really a problem. But with Roomkey, I don't have to worry about either. My hair is always impeccable and I'm always looking good. King Arthur said, I find this Roomkey very interesting. Keep up the great work. I'm already connecting with Don Stein on LinkedIn. Can I also please connect with you on LinkedIn? Okay, so that's a message to Paris. Paris can see that in there. Right, Paris?
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
And then there's a question from Kara. What are common reactions when you transition from Zoom to Roomkey, getting people to engage in the forum, having to download, set a profile, and so on? Okay. I went through this very recently, right? Because I was teaching my class on Zoom, and then I told students, hey, you guys, by the way, tomorrow we're going to get people from all over the world talking to you guys. It was a global leadership class. So we're going to go to Roomkey and we're going to be avatars. Um, my students, of course, are already used to me being crazy and introducing a new technology every week and coming up with 5 different ways to do everything and usually switching them over. So I don't know that you would get the same reaction anywhere. So they're like, okay, that's Cris being Cris, right? But what I actually heard from my students is that the combination of Roomkey and Zoom was actually smoother than some of the other technologies that I used. And the reason is because Roomkey is an app and was not appearing on the browser. So then it wasn't like they weren't like fighting with each other. With that said, it really, really helped that I had a dry run that I gave everybody the link and I sent everybody to Roomkey the day before. I left Zoom open so that I could help the people who were still behind. And I also recorded a tutorial video using a system that is free and wonderful called Loom. I'm going to put it here on the chat. So I recorded myself doing it so that people could see exactly how to download. One thing that really helps with Roomkey is the fact that it also works on mobile phones, so that if people are using their office computers and IT does not allow them to install anything, that they can do it in their smartphones because it works both for Androids and Apple phones, and that works really nice. Yeah, the Loom tutorial is great to set expectations and to show people what's going on. But I would say if any of you would like to actually run a presentation using Roomkey for your employees, for your colleagues, for whomever, have a day before, like a week before, just invite people over just to try it and chat and just try it for size, and people will feel much more comfortable that way. Great questions.
Also,
What
I'd
other
just like to say we've
questions?
got oh, sorry, Maggie.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Paris.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say that we did have a comment on YouTube, which I did put in the chat as well, but it's from Lucia, and she said, hello from Romania. No question here, just curiosity about the avatar-based communication. Thank you and good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucia. And hello from Des Moines, Iowa. That's one of the fun things about these groups and these interactions is meeting people from all over the world. And one more thing that I wanted to say is that there are multiple avatar worlds, and each of them has advantages and disadvantages. One thing that I like about this one is that it's pretty simple. Once people install the app and they use the link, they will go into that room. They are not going to get lost, and then we can just have our meeting and our conversation. So it's pretty nice.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I have wanted to have a class in one of these worlds and including Roomkey for months because I've been having lecture-based classes in Zoom and it has been very interesting just from a Zoom fatigue perspective. And I think Roomkey is probably the one that I would expect my professors to learn the fastest. I think some of the other worlds, they're a little more complicated. There are a few more controls to memorize, so I'd be a little bit more worried.
Even though I can just imagine some of my colleague professors as avatars teaching a class, but yeah, like as a professor, I would say that one of the biggest advantages that I see in Roomkey is the beautiful slide area. Like if I'm presenting my slides, I lose absolutely no quality, and it's kind of fun. You can imagine a group of students in a room like that, or even in a bigger room, being able to chat with each other. Like if you go to one of the big rooms, each table can only hear what's in the table. Even now, if you guys went to those tables at the back, like that little magenta table over there or the little green table, then you would only be hearing whatever people in that table were saying. So that would give you privacy. It also gives you more organic communication. So you can go to a table and chat, and you don't have to be sent to a break room. Like anything else, I sometimes don't say it's either or. I say I use Zoom, that's fine. And then once in a while, I do events that I want to run here, right? Like sometimes it's nice to have a little variety, especially because people are just getting so exhausted of virtual meetings. Um, If there are no more questions, I think we're gonna say goodbye, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for those of you who came here. Thank you so much for everybody who was on YouTube. And I hope you guys do keep in touch with Maggie and with me and with Paris and ask any questions that you have. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Cris and Maggie.
No worries. And Paris, King Arthur is asking how you guys came up with the idea for Roomkey.
So that is actually a question that would be best suited for Don. So what I will do is I will take that question offline. I will connect with you on LinkedIn, and I'll get back to you with Don's answer, if that's okay.
Yeah, that was actually one of the questions that I had for Don before Don told me that he was sick today, unfortunately.
Did
So we
you?
all, so we all wish Don well. Tell Don that I want to see his avatar again. Um,
You want to see an actual picture of Don as well, just to
and
make
I
sure
actually, yeah, I know,
you put
right?
a face of Avatar. But we will definitely, what we'll do, we'll reschedule with Don when he feels much better.
Okay. All right,
Amazing.
guys.
Okay, great.
Great. And Paris, it was so great to meet you, and thank you so much for being here. Maggie and I really appreciated it. And we have to tell Don that we were totally fine here. We were good. So if he was worried, he didn't need to worry.
No, absolutely not. Well, thank you very much, guys, and have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone. Oh, one was left. Okay. Bye, everyone.